Excellent. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ted Harris. I'm with the Pennsylvania Petroleum Association. I'd like to welcome you to our monthly webinar. We have a webinar each month that takes place the first Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. So thank you for joining. If it's your first time, and if it's you've been on one before, thank you for joining us again. Before I introduce Olivia this morning, I would just like to let everyone know that you are going to be on mute. You're not going to be able to talk through the webinar, but we encourage you to ask questions, and you can do that by using the question feature in GoToWebinar. So, if you have a question throughout the presentation, please type it in there, and then what we'll do at the end is we will go through those questions with Olivia, and hopefully she can answer them. And if for some reason we don't get to your question, I will connect you with Olivia after the presentation is over. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Olivia Mastromonaco, who is a social media manager with Warm Thoughts, and she will be discussing social media reviews and preparing for the upcoming heating season.
Great, thank you so much for that introduction, Ted. So like you said, I'm Olivia Mastromonaco. I am the social media manager at Warm Thoughts. Just a quick background, Warm Thoughts is a full-service marketing agency with a digital focus for the retail industry. Me personally, me and my team, we manage over 80 individual social media platforms. So we have seen all the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, what strategies work and what strategies don't work so well. So today we will be focusing on reviews and breaking down important steps that you should be taking to manage your own online reputation now more than ever that we're starting to finally get into some cold weather. I know that the temperatures are supposed to drop again this week. I think this weekend we're supposed to be in the 40s, which is exciting news for us. So why are online reviews important? And I'm sure that this is something you already know. Online reviews are important, but I did do a lot of research specifically for this year, because a lot of the information out right now is from 2017 or 2016. I really wanted to get this year's data. So 82% of Americans say that they seek recommendations from friends and families while considering a purchase. This is something that is also unique to social media, because social media is about friends and family. So when you start thinking about reviews and social media, it kind of goes hand in hand really well for this particular reason. 92% of consumers now read online reviews. That's actually up from 88% in 2014. And I expect that to continue to climb. And 72% of businesses gain more trust with positive reviews and active responses. And we're going to get a little bit more into how, even if we have negative reviews, how we can give a good active response to make sure that we are continuing to gain that trust. So positive reviews don't only gain trust, but active responses do as well. So top sites for online reviews, and this is actually really interesting. Over the last few years alone, so when you think of online reviews, you probably think the first place is Google, Yelp, places like that, right? So you're not wrong with Google. That's definitely the top review site right now. The second one might be interesting to you. It's actually Facebook. These are the #1 and #2, respectively, online review sites currently. And then after this, I think, comes Yelp, TripAdvisor, a couple other of like hotel and destination review sites. So it's even more important, especially on the Google end, that you have claimed your Google My Business listing and you're actively watching those reviews for every location for your business. So today, I'm focusing a little bit more on the Facebook end, because it gives us a lot more opportunity to interact with the customer than Google does. And another thing to think about with these is everybody, and why Facebook has kind of pushed up to the #2 spot, is that everybody has a Facebook and a Google account, right? It's pretty much always logged into your phone. It's very easy just to open up the app and you're already there. Now, when you go on to Yelp or other review sites, if you've ever done this, I know I have, you go on, you try to leave a review. If you don't have an account with them, it won't allow you to make the review. So then they stop you, they make you make an account, they make you log in, they make you make a and it's just too much. The barrier to entry there is too much for some people, and they will leave those review sites to go somewhere else where it's easier and there's almost no friction when the customer wants to actually leave a review. So negative reviews. And as you might have known, negative reviews are the biggest reason why people go to leave reviews, right? They're either really, really happy with their experience or they're not so happy with their experience. So negative reviews had convinced 94% of customers to avoid business. Now, it's important to remember here, if someone comes to your page and they see that you have 2 negative reviews, but you have 80 positive reviews, those 2 negative reviews are kind of irrelevant at that point. So that is not the number that people are concerned with. It's when someone comes to your page and they see that you have 25 negative reviews and only 3 positive reviews, then their perception of you starts to kind of change. And a consumer is 21% more likely to leave a review after a negative experience, right? They're very angry. They want someone to hear what happened to them, and they want it to get fixed. And I'm sure a lot of you, or most of you, know this firsthand from last year's cold snap experience. I know a lot of my clients had their pages just bombarded with people coming on. I don't have my delivery, no one's answering the phone lines are down, I've been in the cold for 3 days, right? And it kind of ensues this chaos that happens. And here's actually a real example of what happened last year. You can take the time to go through these if you will, but they're all pretty much around the same gist. We're completely out of oil, shame on you for not delivering to us, no one's answering the phone, this is an emergency, right? Everybody is a top priority, everybody has issues, everybody wants to be heard. Now there's one issue with this, and I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there's no responses here at all. And this is just a small snippet of a very large comment section. These people ended up turning their reviews off, and the customers still came to their page and left these comments on individual posts. And this went on for about, I think, 8 pages of just comments like this. So I just pulled out a little bit. So one thing you need to know when you have reviews is that you need a plan. You need some kind of plan of action moving forward to know what to do when customers do, because they will come to your page when they have a problem. And the first one, if you could possibly imagine, is to respond, unlike the example I just showed you. So there is a big gap between what customers expect and what brands provide when it comes to review response. 53% of customers expect businesses to respond to negative reviews within a week. And I think that's a really doable timeline, a week. I try to aim for 24 hours, but within a week is absolutely necessary. So customers are already frustrated with lack of service or difficulty getting in touch with you, right? When there's a cold snap, it's all hands on deck, everybody's working 24/7. And it's fortunate enough that if they come to your Facebook over Google, over Yelp, or over the BBB, you have more control over that conversation on your own platform. So it's always important to respond to them so they don't go to those other places. And other companies in your area are probably facing the same challenges around these times, right? Their customers might be looking at your page to see if you're a good company that they want to switch to. Maybe they're unhappy with their company because their company is not responding to them. So they want to make sure that the company they switch to is going to hear them. Responses can also help you win over a significant percentage of potential customers. That is 45% actually. And they're more likely to visit a business if it responds to negative reviews. And review responses make a real and measurable difference, not just to the consumer who leaves the review, but to everyone else who visits the business page, right? And a good way I like to think of this as you're not really responding for the customer, you're responding for the world. It's great if we get back to this customer and we're able to solve their issues and they're happy with their experience after they had a really negative one, but it's even more important to leave something there that's going to live there forever that people can go back and look at. So when you're responding, keep in mind that you're not just responding to these customers that have issues, but you're responding publicly. And the next step is to take it offline when possible. Facebook actually introduced a new feature. This is a review that came in just the end of October, very, very recently. But there's a new feature now that you can respond privately. So you can see right under that See Conversation button, it says Page responded privately. There's another button there that says Respond privately. And when you do that, it sends them a private message. You weren't actually able to do this before, and I think this is a really awesome feature. So instead of waiting on Sandra to private message the page because you'd like to get their contact information, now you can just go straight to them. So this is a really, really awesome thing that I think you should be using in all responses. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't respond publicly still. It's really important to respond publicly. I like to let them know that, hey, we have sent you a private message. That's to let them know that we sent it to them, but also to let the public know that we didn't just reach out here, we also reached out in a different form as well. So really great, I like that feature. Be transparent. So honesty is the best policy, right? We have to own up to our mistakes, apologize sincerely, don't make excuses or defend yourself. Sympathy and empathy will help diffuse any situation and put your company in better light. And this is even true when the customer is wrong, which we know has happened more than a handful of times. The last thing you want to do on your Facebook page, though, is to win an argument with a customer. No one wins in that situation. And the chances are you're facing delays and challenges answering every phone call, right? When there's emergency situations, there's 4 nor'easters back to back. A few messages on your social media about what you're experiencing can answer a lot of frequently asked questions from customers and let them know that you're there, you're listening, and you're active. Your customers may not know just how busy you are and just how hard you are working. So let them know. And that's a really great example over to the right. A company that I work with did a really great job of posting photos of their drivers and their CSRs and getting their tanks filled. Really, really great post. I was happy with that one. And this isn't just an opportunity to show off your seller customer service skills. It's also a time to showcase all good things you're doing to keep your customers safe and warm, right? Especially when they think that fuel just magically shows up in their tank, when it's really your drivers and your CSRs and everybody else working really hard around the clock to make sure that they're staying safe and warm. We know this isn't the first thing on your list, right? When you're super busy, you're running around, you're trying to answer all the phone calls. Social media is just not the first thing on the top of your mind. But documenting the names, the faces, and all the hard work that you're doing out there can go a really, really long way in establishing some goodwill. So one question I get a lot is, should I just turn them off, right? Maybe it gets really busy, you don't want to deal with it, or you're just not entirely sure how to answer some people, so you just decide I'll just turn them off. So a few reasons not to do that. Reviews are great for SEO and online visibility. When you actually respond to your reviews on your Facebook page or Google, Google notices that. And when they notice that you're actively responding to reviews, it actually helps bump up your SEO ratings. So you'll show up more on Google search engines. If you're experiencing a high volume of negative reviews, it might be wise to temporarily turn them off while the crisis is happening. Now, this is the only time I would ever recommend to turn reviews off. And when I mean high volume of negative reviews, I mean 10 reviews in a day. If you are getting 10 reviews in a day during a crisis situation or an emergency situation, go ahead and turn those off. But only temporarily. Like we showed in that one example, those reviews were turned off. People still came to the page and left comments. So people are still going to find you if they want to find you. But the difference with turning reviews off is they're less permanent, right? So comments will eventually get pushed down on your page and they'll just be invisible at some point. Reviews, on the other hand, are there forever. You cannot delete them, you cannot edit them, and they take a much, much longer time to be pushed down your review page. So on one hand, it's good that they're addressing you directly on your page because you control a conversation, right? But on the other, these reviews do live forever. And if you get way too many, that cleanup can be a very long and difficult process. So if you are getting too high, go ahead and turn them off. But just keep in mind, if you do turn them off, they might go elsewhere. They might go to Google, they might go to Yelp, they might go to BBB, and you don't have control of the conversation there. So it's really, every case is different. And I would really just take discretion when deciding if you want to turn them off or not. So, in conclusion, the world is watching you, and, no pressure there, but your customers, your community, and your prospects are going to be able to see this stuff forever. How you handle each case can seriously enhance or undermine your online reputation. And most of this can get nipped in the bud by having a really quick, honest, and empathetic initial reaction. And the most important message to convey to your customers is that you're listening, you care, and you're taking it seriously and doing everything that you can. So you don't need to kind of aim for getting every single customer's issue resolved, but simply letting them know that you're listening can go a really, really long way. And that's it for me. So.
Excellent. Olivia, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Again, you can use the question feature to ask a question. One I have on my end, Olivia, and I know it ranges from company to company, but what's a good ratio to try to shoot for in regards to, the 10 positive reviews with 3 compared to two or three negative reviews? Obviously, you want to have as many positive reviews as possible, but what have you seen out there as a industry best, if you will, in regards to that ratio?
Sure. So I would say a 70-30 split, 70% positive, 30% negative. As long as you have a slightly more majority of positive over negative, that's always going to work in your favor. However, if you have, let's say, 80% of positive reviews, but you got a big chunk of negative reviews recently, so the first thing that people are seeing are kind of, like these 5 or 8 negative reviews in a row, that can also harm you. So this is another kind of, depends on the situation scenario, because if you have a lot in a row, the positive ones might look a little irrelevant, especially if they're a little bit older. So it's good that you have constantly updated reviews, and good that you don't have too many negative in a row, but you always want to strive to have slightly more positive than negative at a glance, somebody looking for a company to do business with is going to see that star rating at a 3.5 or above, which is actually a standard that customers use to make their decisions. If a company has a 3.5 star rating or above, they're much more likely to do business with them than a business that has a star rating lower than that.
Excellent. Have another question from the audience. How do you handle Facebook recommendations instead of reviews?
Instead of reviews?
Yeah, that was the actual question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a great question, and that's actually something new Facebook has done recently, along with a few other of its changes. They have introduced this new recommendation feature, right? And they're pushing that out more than the review button. So customers are much more likely to hit that recommendation button over the review. And I don't even know if they know what they're doing. I think it's just when there's a button there, they click it and they write it thinking that it is a review. But it still shows up in your review tabs on your page, and they act very, very similar to reviews. In the sense that they are permanent, you cannot delete them, but you can still respond to them. So I would say treat those recommendations exactly as you treat reviews. The only difference between those two that I've seen is that recommendations will actually show up on their own page. So if I went to a company's page and the recommendations button there, I click it, I write what I write, that will actually show up on my own page as well as the company's page. Now, if I were to go and write a review and I click the review button and write a review, that's not going to show up on my page. It's only going to appear on the company's page.
Excellent. Makes sense. That is it at the moment in regards to questions. Olivia's information is on the screen, so if you have anything after the fact here you want to reach out, please feel free to do so. But other than that, Olivia, thank you very much. I appreciate you participating this month, and I hope everyone has a good rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate everybody's time.
Very good. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you.